And there is nothing better than when you get all that noise and you as a DM pull the rug out from under them and you get the silence.
Wow. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm slightly taking back my my judgment of you just being a straight up masochist. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, folks. How are you doing? Hopefully, you guys are all well. Welcome to the Forever DM. Today's guest, I'm genuinely super excited for. Now, I know that you hear that all the time in radio, in podcasts, like, this is my favorite guest. I will tell you why I'm looking forward to this guest with just simply 2 words, which is metal DJ. That is the reason, like, I am so buzzed for this and have been looking forward to this genuinely all day. I swear on my child's life. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, Brian.
Hey, how you doing?
Yes, we're going to talk about D&D. Yes, that's the reason we're here. But you used to be like a proper metal DJ, right?
Yeah, so long story short, I sort of, in the misadventures of life, wound up at a college radio station, KSSU 1580, Sacramento.
Still got it.
Sac State's only student-run radio station, which is funny because we have like 3 radio stations on campus. It's a long story. But one of my friends from high school already worked there when I started going to that school, and he got me a job doing like late night. Like I was doing like 11 at night to 2 in the morning kind of stuff.
Okay.
And eventually I became a music director. So my job became working with record labels to promote concerts and albums. And I was still doing the on-air thing for a while. And then after a while, I was running the radio station. I just sort of leveled up and became a suit.
Oh, you sold out.
And after selling out for a while, I decided to not be in radio anymore. It's pretty terrible being a suit. It's very overrated, got to tell you.
It's very, very true.
So then I made the logical switch from radio DJ to suit to history teacher to video game development teacher. You know, just the logical career trajectory you'd expect.
Yeah, that's the 100%. Every career advisor out there is recommended that career path.
Yeah, you just make up your job on the spot. You know, that's how you do it.
So, why did you go history teacher next?
So my entire family's educators, and I did everything I could to avoid the genetic curse.
Okay.
And I just sort of fell into graduate school. And the next thing I know, I'm teaching kids history.
Fair enough. Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah. You just wake up and you're like, oh, wait a minute, I have a job. What?
Wait, I'm a grown-up?
Yeah, this is terrible.
And now you're teaching kids game design, right?
Yep.
That's really cool, man. Like, I really dig that. It's super wholesome. Onto the D&D stuff.
Yes.
So you're playing now?
Yeah. So yesterday was my party's 2-year D&D anniversary.
Nice.
So of our very first session. So my current party, I run what's called a West Marches style game.
Okay, yeah.
Which is basically like D&D for adults. You know, you can't always get everyone at the same time.
Yes.
The same place. I was originally running 3 games, so I jumped into D&D just full go.
Jesus. Yeah.
Me and my friends were talking about doing it forever. We just sort of never did. And then I started watching Critical Role. Matt Mercer got me.
Of course, yeah.
It's the hair. I used to have long hair when I was DJing. I miss the hair.
He has magnificent hair.
He has great hair. He's definitely a Garnier guy. I'd bet my life on it. But
I'll put
I literally just like texted. I didn't know who would play, so I pulled out my phone and I just texted everyone I thought might play. And 8 people showed up.
Oh, 8 people.
First session. We didn't know what we were doing. We random rolled everything. We random rolled race, class, background, everything.
Okay, yeah.
And I was running that campaign, and then my wife's friends, my wife was in my game, heard about it, and they wanted to play, so I started running a game for them.
You hit the holy grail of getting your wife involved in D&D. That's the dream.
And then my radio friends, then they wanted to play. So now I'm running 3 games, and I realized this sucks. So I slowly moved all the games together because they were in my same homebrew setting.
Right.
And I got them all to one island, and I put them on a pirate ship, and they became the crew of, and they named it, they became the crew of the Righteous Leroy. And we ended that campaign in March. No, it had to be it had to be in April, because we ended the campaign on Discord, which is terrible.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, we went from meeting every 2 weeks to Discord. The big unfortunate side effect of that is that means in our new campaign we just started, we're on like 5 sessions in right now. That means I have 12 players at the table.
That's
every single game.
That's a hefty amount of people.
It is. It's a lot easier in person.
Well, yeah, that's. I was gonna say the first
I'll
hurdle.
tell you that it is significantly easier in person.
Yeah. The first hurdle was like in person. But how are you handling running 12 people? Like, what are you doing for things like combat?
Okay.
It was actually, what system are you playing? You playing 5e?
Yeah, we're playing 5e. That's the only one I know. I've kind of researched. I've gone back and I've looked at a lot of the stuff in 3.5. I do a lot of minion encounters, as you could guess, from 4th edition.
Yeah.
So I don't have to track hit points as much. I've looked into other systems just professionally, but 5e is the only one I've ever ran as a DM.
I enjoy 5e. Like, I think I'm the same as you. I've dabbled in a few, but 5e make a lot more sense. Like, it just makes sense.
It's good because everyone was a first timer. Like, everyone in my game was a first timer. So it's a very easy system to kind of pick up and play. And whenever like I do a one shot, like pretty much through our time between campaigns, like all my players were running one shots. I ran a couple, and it's a very easy system to just go, hey, don't worry about what's on this sheet. I'm going to tell you what to roll. You roll it and go.
Yeah, I mean,
that's my sales pitch for it. So.
Sales pitch for 5e.
Yeah.
No, I dig that. Like, I'm super impressed of you running a game for that amount of people. Like, that's tough.
Well, the good news about it is everything takes forever. So you don't have to actually plan out as much. Like, it's going to take them an hour to decide what direction to go.
Well, there's a solid DM tip right there. If you
try to plan for 12 people, you're going to overplan. There's just no way to avoid it.
I mean, sure, that's not quite the tips we're aiming for, but it's a tip nonetheless. It's
yes. Well, I feel like I have like a canned like response because I'm that guy on like every subreddit, every Facebook group that's like, when everyone's like, "Oh, don't run for 5 people, the system can't handle it." I'm the guy laughing at all of them. There's hacks in the system you can use to kind of facilitate. Combat's actually the easy part. The hard part's out of combat. You can use stuff like platoon initiative and like pair and triple up your party together. So then all of a sudden there's only 4 initiative rolls instead of 12.
Right. That's not too shabby.
You can, right in person, what I have them do is that we always roll attack rolls and damage rolls simultaneously. Because those little lost seconds in between those rolls add up a lot with 12 players.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter when you have 3, it matters a lot when you have 12. The cool thing being online is we use Beyond 20. So you can just click on your D&D Beyond sheet and it spits out in Discord. So all that stuff's a lot easier. But yeah, it's the hard part is actually giving people space to like be their character. You really have to sort of be the director of a movie.
Right.
When you have 12 people and just be like, "Okay, here's the camera. All right, what are you doing? Okay, what are you doing? You shut up. You've been talking for 20 minutes. What are you doing?"
I think to be fair, that is one of the hardest things, or one of the harder things, certainly, about being a DM is trying to make sure that everyone kind of gets like their turn almost. Like everyone gets noticed, everyone feels involved in the game. But yeah, doing that, like, honestly, I keep coming back to that. Like, I have a hard rule that I never play, like, my players never more than six at a table. Like, 6 is my absolute top.
For me, because that's always been my reality, the game doesn't get fun till 7. Because here's the upshot. Here's the upshot of it.
Okay.
You have so much energy at a table. When you get 7, 8, 9 people, you can get a lot of noise. And Metal DJ, you can get a lot of noise out of 12 people in a hurry. And there is nothing better than when you get all that noise and you as a DM pull the rug out from under them and you get the silence.
Wow. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm slightly taking back my my judgment of you just being a straight up masochist. And now I'm buying in a little bit. Okay.
Oh no, you're not trying to run a meat grinder, but when you drop the bomb, like, it needs to go off. like you're not going to have as many opportunities because of how long everything takes to really have that big impact moment. So you have to land it when you do it.
Yeah. All right. I'll take that. I'll 100% take that. Like, I mean, I'm not going to be doing it anytime soon, but I'll take that.
Well, if you get all your viewers together, you can probably get a big game going. It shouldn't be too hard for a one shot.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, so the Forever DM is the sidecar to a project that we're running, which is Clash of Quests. So Clash of Quests is a game that we're doing where we've 6 DMs and we all take turns taking the players to the next level. So one DM takes the party through basically almost a one shot, like a mini campaign.
Yeah.
And then it shifts over to the next level.
See, when I first started DMing, that was the weird idea in my head, was that I was going to have all 3 of these campaigns sort of interacting with each other. Like they didn't realize it at the time, but I had one party chasing the other one for a solid like 2 months.
See, that's cool.
Where they were like cleaning up the mess they were following. Oh my God, it's so much work. If I had 5 other DMs, I'd still be doing it. That sounds really easy.
So I've never thought about this myself, but one thing that I picked up from your game is if you do have that issue of grown up D&D where people can't make it all the time, putting a bunch of players on a boat is a great idea.
So when I describe it, it's Star Trek. It's D&D in Star Trek form. In theory, everyone gets back on the boat at the end of the session. There's going to be things that interrupt that, like in practice. But in theory, everyone leaves the boat, does the thing, they come back on the boat. Next Friday, whenever they show up, hey, 8 different people showed up. Cool, you guys leave the boat. Everyone comes back.
Nice.
And then, when you want to do big arc ending stuff, like that's when you or arrange it so everyone can be there. And hey, we're going to fight my giant demon lord thing I 3D printed that I never got to use.
Are you okay?
Damn COVID.
You're right.
No, it still hurts. But I have my Elegoo Saturn on the way. We're going to print some nice big stuff for them to get killed by. I'm very excited.
Nice, man.
But no, I need my big cool dragon figure. That's why I could never see doing this online thing full time. Right now for this campaign, we're kind of going to split the difference as things open up. Someday we'll get out of this. But I need an excuse to own it. And if we're playing on Discord, I can't justify that.
Yeah, most of D&D is desperately trying to justify the various things that you've printed on board.
Exactly. Like the sword. You got to have the sword.
Yeah.
My friend, when my son was born, hold on.
Oh, what's that?
So one of my players, who I've known since I was 8 years old, when my son was born, got him this. So he will be a man when he can wield it.
Oh, I love your friend so much. That's pretty cool. Like a hand and a half sword.
He is an interesting character. Yeah, he is a professional chef. Well, actually now he's a culinary professor. And every session he plays in, his character collects ingredients that he then makes a dish in real life.
Oh, he is the perfect friend.
Yeah, I can send you guys pictures of some of the crazy crap this guy has put together. But he literally did a 4-course meal for one of our sessions. It was just absurdity.
I need to have a friend like that.
Yeah,
I just need someone to feed me. Really,
Yeah.
Okay, so have you, talking of physical props, have you ever played anything other than D&D? The one that comes to mind is Call of Cthulhu.
So I've only played Call of Cthulhu online, so I do miss out on that part. One of my current players, he wasn't in my first campaign, DM'd a little mini campaign. And I really liked the system. I thought it was really clever, the way they work around percentiles. I could see whenever I really want to dive back into homebrewing, because right now I'm running in Wildmount, because I've never ran in a preset campaign setting before. Oh my God, it's so much easier. Holy crap. I don't have to come up with the god of everything every time someone asks. Cool, sign me up.
Wildmount is a gorgeous place to play. It
reminds me, because when I was deciding to look through, I have Sword Coast, I have Eberron, I have Wildmount. It reminds me a lot of my first read through of Wildmount. I didn't like it that much, even being a Critical Role guy. It reminded me a lot of Sword Coast. And the references he's not trying to hide them in his defense.
I was going to say, yeah.
But when I really dove in, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to read every word of every page of these damn setting guides. And then that's when I fell in love with Wildmount. Is there's all these little things that are just oh, you can make a whole campaign out of that paragraph.
Yeah.
It's hidden in this one forest in the Menagerie Coast. Yeah, I can make a campaign out of that.
It's an amazingly it's a gorgeous
crazy detailed.
100% recommended. But yeah, I'm usually a homebrew guy as well. I dig the homebrew world. Like, but you're right. It does
Oh,
take the
yeah.
pressure off not having to come up with every tiny.
Well, being a history guy, my homebrew world was all built out of Renaissance Italy. Like the main city they were in was basically Genoa,
Cool.
and the other city was Florence. Like they had all these families they had to deal with. Like, but God, it took so much work, especially because I was building it the whole. I didn't do it all beforehand, so it was a glorious mess.
You're building one session at a time.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much was like, oh, they're going to a big city now. Uh-oh.
To be fair though, like
Time to open up Incarnate.
being a history teacher though, at least you've got some things that you can fall back on the quick, surely.
Oh yeah, easy. That is the cool thing basing it around history. So it's sort of like became like an Age of Sail campaign over time. So it's got a lot of Caribbean influences, like 1600s, North and South America.
Okay.
So there's a lot of good things to draw from all over the place.
To be fair, that's another really good bit of advice to give people. In a way, like a lot of new DMs will kind of feel this sort of pressure to come up with these gorgeous story arcs and, you know, trying to figure out what it's going to be. Just look at history, man. Like,
oh yeah,
there are some absolutely insane.
I mean, Game of Thrones is just a carbon copy of the War of the Roses.
Wait, has he said that?
Beat for beat, it's the War of the Roses.
Has he said that?
He doesn't have to say it. It is. Like,
I was going to say,
like, he can say whatever they can say whatever they want to say. It is.
Because it is definitely War of the Roses. Like,
yeah.
Speaking as a man that moved from London to Yorkshire, like it's like when I moved to Yorkshire, that was like my knowledge of sort of the War of the Roses and the whole Yorkshire Lancashire thing. Like that was beaten into me within the first 6 months of living here.
Oh yeah.
Like yeah,
you wouldn't have a choice.
It's definitely War of the Roses, like 100%.
Yeah. So yeah, don't be afraid to steal. Like the very first intro quest I did, like my first introductory to D&D from me and all my players, I took a quest from Pillars of Eternity and then just changed the wrapping on it and dropped it in. So
players will never know, like ever. Like,
no,
never know.
No.
My go-to if I want a quick dungeon is I download Skyrim cave maps.
Yeah.
And most of my players play and have played Skyrim for years. But just throwing it out there.
But you'd never look at it from that perspective.
Yeah, no one's looking at it from that perspective at all.
Yeah. See, I stopped making dungeon maps. I make them map it.
Oh,
there's someone in my party whose job it is to map it, and then I have like a little block map of like what's going on.
Okay.
And then they fill in the map on their own.
That's not too bad. That's it. Put all the pressure back onto the player. Make them do it.
Now for cities and stuff, like I have Incarnate Pro and Photoshop and whatever. I can make a cool big map in an hour or so. But for little dungeon-y things, no, they can.
Incarnate is amazing, by the way. I know you just skated past that. That is a truly magnificent place to.
Oh, it is. I mean, I don't know what the sponsorship rules are for you, but no, that's $30 well spent. I've gotten my money out of it.
Done and done. So you're saying earlier on about the whole when you do something really well, that kind of that silent moment.
Yeah.
Since you've been playing D&D, what has been your proudest when the whole table went quiet and you knew, yeah, I've got this, I've done this?
Okay, so my party, this is pretty early on.
Right.
My party was just camped out, off by a road. Of course, the guy that's on watch rolls a 1 because thank God for dice. and they get ambushed and they overtake the bandits. It's bandits. Like it's bandits.
Yeah.
There's one left and fly spur of the moment. I've never done this. I never did this before. I had the last one surrender because I thought kind of logically like, okay, he's just watched all his friends die. He's a bandit. This isn't like a hardened professional like man at arms.
Mm-hmm.
So my party, not knowing what to do, is now arguing for 20 minutes basically about, are we going to let this guy live? And I'm just like making up this guy's backstory in my head the whole time. I love to have backstories to my NPCs. If I have time, I have a second one of these stories that's pretty fun. That I've never told my players how. I never told my players how the second one worked out. I had him surrender, and he's explaining like I have a family. He lives in the city nearby. Like that's why he's a bandit. Didn't have lost his job kind of story. And while they're arguing, like it's pretty clear their argument is turning towards killing him.
Right.
And they're not being like quiet about it. So I had him take off running. And of course, the ranger just turns pop 20 max damage, kills him immediately. And one of my more sadistic players got a little murder hobo-y and a little dark side. And in the process, they got the daughter's name out of him. that I had to make up on the spot. I think it was Zora, because that's just what popped in my head at that minute. And they carved the daughter's name into his chest because he's a dick. Yeah, he got real dark side.
Yeah, that's pretty.
So flash forward eight sessions. So we'll say about 3 months.
Okay.
They're back in that city. I basically lifted the entire test of courage thing from Critical Role. So they had a drinking contest. Got them nice and sloshed up. One of the characters gets their gold stolen. They interrogate the bar. The thief, of course, screws up trying to escape. They chase him through the whole city. I used the chase rules from. I stole chase rules from somewhere because 5th edition doesn't cover that kind of stuff.
I think
they chase him through the city.
There's plenty of places you can find chase rules from.
They chase him through the whole city. And of course, they get to they hadn't figured out at all what was going on up to this point. And my wife, who is playing a divination wizard, divination wizards are overpowered as hell. They're the best class in the game. There's not even like a conversation to be had. Around.
Yeah.
Like from a pure game design perspective, why is that in your game? If they take the lucky feat, it's over. You just don't get to roll dice.
I've never come across one, but I've heard numerous stories about how it's a little bit game breaking.
Oh yeah. Oh, I have plenty of stories of my wife just wreaking havoc on my game. Of course, catches her in a sleep spell, and they catch her right in front of her hut. And of course, they didn't realize it yet. It was the daughter and that guy's grandmother and her sister that he was describing the whole time they were interrogating him. And just the silence. And they all just turn and they look at that player, that crazy dark side player. That was a fun one.
That's pretty good. The actions have consequences. That's one of the best things about D&D. Actions have consequences.
The second one I had to do on the fly because, we're adults, we have lives. And we actually play, when we play in person, we like to play brunch. So we do 10 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon.
No, that's good.
So then you have the rest of your day.
I agree with that.
It works out good. It works out really good for us. And I knew my friend had a work thing, he could not miss. So I'm looking at the clock, and we're going through a clockwork dungeon. Eberron just came out as a source book, so it's around that time. Okay. And my rogue wanted to multi-class into artificer. So I was like, okay, I've always done, we're going to have a game reason. You're doing it. So they're going to find this thing that allows her to start being an artificer. So I made this clockwork dungeon thing. And originally, I'd set up this story where they were looking for this gnome artificer that screwed up some experiment and got himself killed. They don't know that yet.
Okay.
And there's a big clockwork golem there. They were going to have to fight. And I'm looking at the clock right as they come into this room, and I'm looking over and I'm just oh shit. It's 1:45. We got maybe 20 minutes. This fight's going to take a while. Because it had lair actions and I was going all out for this boss fight. Okay. And I sort of called an audible right on the spot. I'm okay, I'm gonna let them try to non-combat their way out of this. And the golem can't talk, doesn't have any languages. I basically had to role play a completely silent automaton character and they had to not planning any of this. They had to tell the whole story of so he had this master that was experimenting with a MacGuffin they needed for their quest.
Right.
And it blew up and killed him. And, their family sent him to look for him. So I had to role play the saddest robot ever. By about 10 minutes, most of the party is crying. They're carrying the body with the boss they were supposed to fight. Is carrying the body of this little gnome artificer. I forgot that the thing weighed a ridiculous amount because I take note of shit like that. So it's 11,000 pound golem that they're now putting on a ship to transport this body.
Jesus.
But it was just such a fun moment. Afterwards, just that combat they would have forgot.
Yeah.
But this little ad lib moment of my party having to parse out what happened with something that can't talk. It can understand them, but it can't talk back to them.
Yeah.
So I have to sell all the facials of what he's trying to get across. It was a really fun moment.
So what was quite cool there was that you clearly prep how much the robot weighs, but also improvised pretty much that entire encounter.
Yeah, I had to do it all on the spot.
So what would you say your percentages of improv versus prep? Where's your split?
So now, as I used to prep everything.
Okay.
And it would screw me up all the time. I prep arcs now. So I'll have a big thing that's happening.
Right.
and I'll have like a couple players involved and some motivations that are happening in the background. But I don't like to prep like full, like, this is how this dungeon's laid out kind of thing, because maybe an encounter goes totally sideways. Or maybe the party goes, we're going to go that way.
Never happens in D&D. Never, not once.
Then all of a sudden you don't have anything. You're improving everything on the spot. So I like to just basically embrace the improv.
Do you know what? Like, I'm kind of with you on that one. I lean more into the improv stuff. I think it's just, I mean, like you say, like, I'm not going to say they're guaranteed to forget it, but there's a good chance it just would have been another combat scenario.
So perfect example from my first campaign. So improv leading to improv. My friend poisoned all the leaders of a city that my campaign was based in.
That's a great start to any story, by the way.
Without me having a plan for that, I gave him the ability to do it. It's my friend that does all our cooking, of course.
That's life imitating art. Wait, no.
Yeah, and he managed to infiltrate this party, and he just decided sort of on his own to go like, this city's really horribly corrupt, and that's the story I was telling. Let's just burn it all down.
Yeah, sure.
And one of my hard and fast rules, because this is one of my pet peeves, is if you don't have a reason to be an adventurer as an NPC, you're a commoner, period. Like, just because you're a horribly rich, like, lord or whatever, you don't get fighter levels because
I dig that.
You're the lord of whatever, aristocratic family. You're a commoner. Now, that doesn't mean the guard next to him isn't. but that guy is a commoner. So, of course, I stupidly gave him enough ability to kill all of them and get away with it, much to his credit. So, after that session, I'm like, okay, well, there goes the next, 2 months of what I had. What am I going to do? So I built this whole quest arc where they were going to have to help out this religious figure, go around, try to resurrect a few of them. And I get to, the one that was like, okay, this is going to end up being the big bad evil guy of this arc. I need this guy to get through this. And I'm not going to, cheat my way through it and MacGuffin my way through it. I use Matt Mercer's resurrection rules, so I did all the dice rolls. First two, all of them died. So didn't matter. And I get to this one, I'm like, okay, I'm getting a little nervous, but it's okay. I can come up with a backup plan. And right as I'm about to roll his resurrection roll, divination wizard wife goes, yeah, he rolled a 2. I'm just holding the dice in my hand crap.
Wow.
Yeah, divination wizards.
That's the main thing to take away today, folks, is just divination wizards should be banned outright.
I don't know if they should be banned, but goddamn, they're strong.
Sorry, that's really made me chuckle. So the wrap-up bits now, where the whole kind of interview in general is super fun, but I really dig this last section because, well, it's mainly about you, and I get to judge you ridiculously.
Excellent.
Now, as always, no preparation. I haven't told you about the last section just because I like.
You didn't tell me anything about this.
No, not at all. I just like to watch people squirm and panic because I am a DM. Just like to put that into every single situation. So here goes. It doesn't have to be D&D inspired. This is just you. If there's a crossover, fantastic. What I want you to do is I want you to recommend to the good folks listening a movie, a TV show, and a book.
So the book I have up there, if you want me to go grab it, it's called Guards.
I already, yes, I already know what it is. But yeah, sorry, please explain.
Yeah, it's based in RimWorld. I love when the mundane is weird and cool in D&D. I love the idea of I have this one shot I run whenever I have to introduce new people and I don't want to plan anything, where we play cops. We do a police show in D&D as one shot. And a lot of that idea is based off some of the more normally bits of Guards.
The great and powerful Terry Pratchett, one of my absolute idols.
Yeah, yeah. Really, if you just read Terry Pratchett, you'll be okay as a DM. You'll be fine.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And for everyone that's really enjoyed the recent Good Omens, please pick up the book. Please pick up the book.
TV show. I would probably say, and this is probably not the answer you're expecting, find you a good cooking show. I love to use, I would use as my example, and now I'm forgetting the name of it. It's the one where they give them the mystery ingredients and...
Well, so this is the issue.
Yeah. Chopped.
Because I live in the UK, so we had a program called Ready Steady Cook, which hasn't been around for a very long time, but had that premise.
And the reason I love that is it shows you ways that you can mess with your players that aren't necessarily always mechanical.
Okay.
Like you can, there are ways to tweak your players and tweak the situation that's happening in your game that doesn't always have to be like it's going to do this to your character sheet.
I like that. And then finally a movie.
A movie. Okay. Yeah, you're catching me off guard. You are catching me off guard. I'm gonna say
It's my favorite bit.
I'm gonna say The Ballad of Ricky Bobby, and that's mostly for the ridiculous voices that are in that movie. Because I think even if you're not trying to do voices as a DM, you got to be able to do something every once in a while.
Yeah.
And sometimes a little Southern twang, you know.
All right. Yeah, I dig that. Those are some solid choices. And then the final question before we sadly have to say goodbye, which is the all important question. You thought you were getting judged on the book, the TV show, and the movie. This is where the Madame Guillotine truly drops. Dirty Dancing or Footloose?
I'm gonna go Footloose.
Interesting. Why are you going Footloose? What's your justification?
Honestly, this is the history nerd in me. There's a lot of stuff going on in the background of Footloose
okay.
that is really super interesting. And now I want to say Dirty Dancing. you crossed me all up because I'm like, well then, and then I was going to go to Dirty Dancing too, and I'm like, well, it talks about the Cuban Revolution and the rise of capitalism.
You can only have one, man. You can only pick one.
You know what? I'm taking Dirty Dancing 2. I talked myself into it in my head.
So you're going to go Dirty Dancing? Oh, you're going to Dirty Dancing 2?
Not the first one, second one.
Oh, that is a rogue choice.
You know, I kind of like, as someone who invented their job on the spot one day in front of a school board meeting. Yeah, I'm kind of that guy.
Dirty Dancing 2. Wow, that is we haven't had that one yet. I mean, I'm impressed. Oh, okay.
Don't be afraid to color outside the lines, kids.
Yeah, that seems very, very true. Dude, this has been incredible. Thank you so much for talking. Sorry, I'm still shook by Dirty Dancing 2.
Yeah, you haven't even seen it, have you?
No,
you need to. My wife showed it to me. It's pretty good.
Do you know why I haven't seen it? Because I watched a trailer. That's nothing to do with rom-coms or musicals or anything like that. Like I'm a huge musical and rom-com guy. But I really love Dirty Dancing and I love Footloose. But I watched the trailer for Dirty Dancing 2 and then realized I didn't want to put myself through it.
And you know, it's not as terrible as it looked.
I'm
gonna be honest with you. It's not as terrible. It's. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not. But it's not as terrible as it looked.
Yeah, sure. I mean, am I gonna have to watch Dirty Dancing 2 now? Is that what's happening?
I think I just ruined your life.
It's gonna happen. Thank you so much for that. Thank you.
This is the power of the internet.
There's gonna be a follow-up. There's gonna be a follow-up podcast, which is just me abusing Brian for like an hour. I was just like, why?
Yep.
Why did that happen?
For taking 97 minutes or however long it is from your life.
Yeah, that's what you're doing. You're literally taking like time away from my existence. Yeah, it's fine. I'm gonna watch it. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna watch it. Totally gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it before this episode drops.
No, what you should do is you should do a watch along podcast and then just do commentary while you're watching it. So you just swear about me.
And then right at the end, I'm just gonna give everyone your email address. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, for now, thank you so much. I'll hold off the full thank you until I've watched Dirty Dancing 2. But dude, this has been fabulous. This is the thing. So running this is all about getting D&D tips for everyone. But I took a solid tip from that, which is the pirate ship, the D&D Star Trek thing. I really dig. 100% stealing that in the future. Well, I absolutely love that. But yes, thank you so much. Guys, don't forget to tune in on Saturdays for Clash of Quests, where you get to see DMs playing D&D. So yeah, tune in, folks. Saturdays.
Now you got to let me know if it's better or worse than Dirty Dancing 2.
All I hope, that's now my benchmark. All I hope is that everything I do is better than Dirty Dancing 2. Please let it be better than
yes.
But no, thank you so much, guys. You've been absolutely amazing. Cheers, Brian, man. You've been an absolute legend. Like, thank you so much. And that's it, folks. We will see you next week. Thanks, guys. Be lucky. Bye-bye.